Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Evertonians, one and all, and for any visitors joining us who may or may not be Chelsea fans, in which case, but welcome to Follow Everton this Saturday afternoon, as we are in the middle of some 3 o'clock kickoffs. We are joined by Amy. Hello. Who was busy buying Mother's Day flowers. Reminder to all of you. We're joined by Basil. Hello, Basil.
Good afternoon.
And we're joined by rocketing levels of adrenaline as the goals keep pouring in left, right, and centre all over the Premier League. Leeds were 3-0 up, and now Wolves have got 2 goals back. Can they rescue something? Spurs have scored a second goal. It's all happening. Not live here, of course, but yes, welcome to everyone. Welcome to Follow Everton. Hello, Richard. Hello, Jeff. Oh, miserable Jeff. Might not be so miserable this afternoon. Hello, Kevin. Hello, the Blues. And in the sidelines, we have Chris. And afternoon, Dave, you sexy, sexy beast. But yeah, hello, everyone. How are you?
Not so bad. How is it going? Are you excited for this match?
You seem excited.
This match is going away the bridge.
Yeah. I've done just a warning. I'm relying very much on you, my wonderful companions, because I've done zero preparation. I've been glued to Sky Sports as the goals have been coming in. Yeah. How are you guys? Are you excited?
No. I am never excited.
I'm excited.
It's an away game, innit?
I don't have much optimism for Everton away at the Bridge, where we haven't won since 1994. But I have optimism that we could get a point. I feel like we could get a point from this. Realistically, if we defend
Spurs
well.
3-1.
Ooh.
You're done. Right.
Yeah, we've got to have some confidence, haven't we, going into this? Otherwise, there's no point attempting it. The mentality's got to be right, and I think we've shown in recent weeks we don't make mistakes. If we play like we did at Forest, but without the mistakes, as an away performance, we could do something. We could nick a point or nick a win. It'd have to be like a 1-0 win, wouldn't it? Have we seen the team news?
Yeah. Unchanged, I think, once again. So he seems pretty confident now with this current lineup that we're sending in. He likes Gray up front. Finally, no more Mopé ball for us all to cry over. So I think the only thing is similar issues like we've always had with the substitutions. Maybe now Gray's getting more minutes and he will be able to last longer, but the more tired they get, that's when the mistakes creep in it. So I'm hoping there'll be better substitutions. I'm also vehemently checking the table as I'm speaking to you.
Yeah, I know it's live updating and it's crazy because if Leeds win, they'll leapfrog over us, and it's all It's
unsettling, isn't it? I tend to avoid it, to be honest, when it comes to Saturday nowadays, because it just winds you up and it just changes like 20 minutes, and one team you wanted to lose is losing, and then they're just suddenly winning, and it's just frustrating. But I to be honest, I had it down for Leeds to win this game. I think it was one of those that they just nick the 3 points somehow off Wolves. It's so tight down there, isn't it? So one game's not going to change very much in the table.
I mean, it can change it very much for us. We can solidify our push up towards the upper end of the bottom half of the table. Yeah, we need Wolves to get another goal back at least. And it's not entirely possible. If the momentum, obviously we're not watching it, but if the momentum in that game's shifted, then it's entirely possible that they could catch them on the back foot, and Leeds could tire if they're still playing high intensity football. And Wolves seem to be in it early on. Was it Merson was covering it on Sky Sports? Of course, there are other football coverages available, but with the unchanged team, do you think we've got any momentum going there? I mean, we've got Mopé and Sims on the bench. Are you disappointed not to see a recognised striker?
No, I'm actually not. I think over the past few weeks, Gray's done really well. Solid no. But I think he has done really well, playing there in a position he's not playing in really as well. He's not done anything major I can complain about because he's not a recognised striker as well. He gets more leeway with me. So,
but we're
oh my God, 2-3.
I know. It's all
2-3.
happening here on Follow Everton. Oh. I know. Stressful, guys. But this is the life of an Evertonian, is it not?
You've got to think going away to the Bridge that having Gray up front is the most sensible option. With the counter-attack threat, with the pace he offers, we're going to be feeding off scraps. The worry is looking at Chelsea's lineup, so it looks like they've gone back to the back three, and he could get isolated up against some pretty strong and aggressive centre-backs, Koulibaly, Badshield and Fofana, and they're not exactly slow off the mark themselves. But maybe it's the midfield battle we can look at because they've got Kovacic and Fernandes in there, and we'll have 3/5, because we'll get numbers in there. Maybe that's where we can get some joy.
Well, I'm a bit disappointed not to see Wout Faes, whatever his name is.
Fez?
Yeah. Oh no, wait, sorry. He plays for Leicester, not Chelsea. Yeah, sorry. I confuse him with David Luiz and think he's like a reincarnation because he's absolutely calamitous. But it's good that I have Azpilicueta.
Yeah.
We had a goal at Villa. By the looks of it as well.
It's all going off, yeah.
Villa bomb.
Villa 2-0. Oh, yeah, you've got the 3-2 on set. Yeah, we really need Wolves. We need Leeds to drop points, don't we? Because they're the ones that you think who's gonna, you want to keep down there. That they're the ones you want to keep away, and by them jumping 3 points, that's looking really, really precarious for us.
Yeah.
At least Forest dropped points.
I've seen it these past few weeks. I've been saying consistently it's going to be between us and Leeds, or us, Leeds and West Ham are going to take that last place in the bottom. So I don't want West Ham nor Leeds gaining any points here at all. If there was a way for them to all lose, that would be preferable, Wolves included, but I'm not sure if that'll ever happen. So I'd rather Wolves take the 3 because that just moves them further up away from us, but it doesn't propel them over us anymore. And I know that sounds awful, but I'd rather the teams we were scrapping down there, like Leeds, dropping the full 3. But if I can deal with them both taking 1, I think that puts Leeds back below us anyway, doesn't it?
Wolves have just had a red card. This is stressful times. I would offer you some live coverage, but I feel that Follow Everton will get banned from YouTube if we do this. But yeah, Ryan seems to think. See, Ryan now seems to think this. I thought Palace would be caught up in it earlier in the season.
Depends who their new manager ends up being, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, because they got rid of Vieira, didn't they?
I think they'll take a caretaker. At the end of it now, it's a bit redundant bringing someone in, isn't it?
But when they say caretaker, I always.
But I couldn't tell you who the caretaker would be.
So what's going on there? It looks like we've wheeled Basil out of storage here.
It's like a storage shelves all the way. I'm at uni, so I've just thought I'd hop in while I could for a little bit.
So exciting. It's got to be better than university work. Somehow less stressful, maybe. Or maybe just...
It's quite therapeutic to be fair. Sticking together bits of cardboard, so it's not too bad.
For those interested, it looks like Duncan Ferguson is losing again at Forest Green, unfortunately.
Bless it. I'd blame Forest Green. It's a shame on him.
Could do with the Brentford goal as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world.
My Wi-Fi is dreadful. I'm so sorry, everyone.
Yeah, I think I've got the same issue. I feel like I'm overcutting you sometimes. Apologies if it is we're talking over each other sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy that 5 points. Sorry, it's people are just talking about sacking managers and how close it is. Thorium, Alex said history suggests that Palace survived, but the closeness of the season can alter that. And 5 points between Southampton in last place, 22 points, and Palace in 12th. That's 9 teams and only 5 points separate them. Okay, you know, West Ham have played 26 games, and Southampton seem to be sincerely in trouble, especially if they don't get anything today, which I really, really, really hope they don't. But yeah, anyway, should we move on to Everton? You don't seem excited by that, despite the claims. Oh no, Basil's mic's gone. Amy, do you think we'll see some more attacking football like we did, against Forest and against Brentford?
I think they'll be a bit more careful about it today, only because of them away day nerves that we always seem to have. Like, so many people have told me these past couple of weeks, away games anyway, and we know what they're like nerves when they go in place. They don't tend to start straight on foot. So I think we'll see them be a bit more reserved until they can. I'd rather them be reserved than them. What's a better word? Swearing for this. I was going to say dick about. I don't know what another word is.
Yeah, you want to see them control and be.
If they get properly. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Dave's just asked Amy, are you and Jeff's out using his Wi-Fi?
I think that's the best.
Oh dear. No, I think that we can see positivity coming back. I mean, we've got James Garner on the bench, which I do think that we might benefit from. You know, people seem to talk about Onana being off his form, or he's carried an injury, his knee. Ryan's not a fan. He's not been liking Onana. Does that run in the family? What do you feel about him? Oh, Amy's gone. What do you feel about him, Basil?
No, I think he's good, but I think he is on a little bit of a downward drop in form from what I've seen the last few weeks. He just seemed to go missing in the last few games, and I think this might be down to the role he's being asked to do in recent weeks to get closer to Gray, to be that, the presence that's up there. I don't think that's necessarily his key skill set. I think he's much better when he's mopping up around the back line, sliding into challenges, being combative. I think he gets a bit lost sometimes. So, I mean, how do you get that back in? We just don't have the perfect balance right now with the players that we have. So, Villa have scored.
Yeah, it's 3-0, consolidated it. As the Blues has said as well, that we're asking quite a lot of him, to jump in. It is 3-0 Villa. To jump in and
consistency in his form when he's only a young player.
Yeah, I mean, it seems really strange that we. Well, it's positive for Everton that we've seen 3 players play consistently in that midfield with Onana, Garner, and Doucouré. I mean, Doucouré, quite rightly, is transformative. A lot of people this time last season were saying, "Oh, he doesn't want him on the team sheet ever again." I recall people saying like that, and okay, he's had some moments, but I think we all have. Amy is back, possibly ready to join us. Just give us a wave when you're ready, Amy. Okay. Hello.
Hello. Is that better?
Oh.
Doesn't sound confident.
No. It is better. It is better. I'm just looking out for.
Wi-Fi looks better.
It's this corner of my room. My desk's smack bang in the corner. And you know when they say on Dirty Dancing, don't put baby in the corner? That's how my laptop feels about it. It's like, why are you shoving me over there? If we're using laptops for streams, we've got to be downstairs is the new rule, I think.
Fair
Sorry,
enough.
Ryan.
There's another interesting one is the decision to keep Ben Godfrey at left back as opposed to bringing in the natural left back. I mean, what do you make of that situation?
Do you think he doesn't rate Mykolenko, or do you think he's still a bit worried that Mykolenko's not at full fitness and this is a game where he probably can't really risk letting him play for fitness sake?
Do you think he's not recovered from being ill?
Yeah, like, don't know.
Possible, isn't it? But there's no way of telling. I think obviously he was part of the winning side last week, so I think then it's difficult to sort of change that side. I can see why he's stuck with the same team, but my gut reaction would be he's going to be quite defensive performance, and Mykolenko doesn't offer a lot going forward, but he does defensively usually raise his game when he's up against a decent opposition. But obviously the strengths to having Godfrey there with his pace up against some of their tricky wingers and on the counter attack. So it's swings and roundabouts, doesn't it?
I do think though that Godfrey does have more in his toolbox than we might have seen previously, because I mean I'd prefer him over Holgate, and he's got some pace. I mean he demonstrated that. Didn't he play a few times for Norwich at left back?
Yeah, he did under Carlo for a few games as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, we don't always have to defer to Carlo Ancelotti, but I mean, the guy's got experience; he knows what he's doing. So if it's a case of Godfrey playing out of position, I mean, because he's quite long and lanky for what you consider a fullback. We tend to have quite you see more compact players that can, you know, Baines or even Azpilicueta, Coleman, Hibbert was. I think he was a bit bigger, but then that was in his speed. Wasn't great, but if you can do a good defensive job and maybe stop, as we've demonstrated against teams like and Chelsea before, if you can stop them on the attack, if you can just cut that out when they attempt to take the piss going down the wing, and then work it into the box. If we can cut that out, then I think we'll do okay. But I mean, do you think Gray is going to be able to? I mean, will we have the freedom to create that space if they're playing three at the back? And we're going to have three up front. Do you think that they're going to bring defensive midfielders back to? I mean, again, that depends if we're going to bring the game. But do you see it sort of being man marked? Are we going to have the opportunity to run into space there?
I think every single time there's a three at the back, you've got enough of a chance if you can play to your strengths and monitor the game itself enough to slip into pockets of space. There will be a point where those defensive midfielders won't be able to get back quickly enough. There will always be some room for error, especially with the Chelsea side we're seeing under Potter as well. They do seem to have more errors in them than they did under Tuchel. So maybe this is the best time for us to try and kind of create those chances for ourselves and just give it a go, I think, is the best way to say it, because they're not the Chelsea side we're all used to seeing either. I think they're still struggling to find their own form within it all as well.
There is a penalty at St Mary's.
What's the score? Is it still 2-1?
It's 3-2 to Spurs. It's being VAR'd. Paul Merson is miming something I can't lip read. Jeff Stelling keeps going back to him.
Put your subtitles on.
Brentford have had a red card as well.
Well, that
seems to be a flood of red cards in the last half an hour.
Full time, Villa 3, Bournemouth 0.
Okay.
For anyone interesting, Rochdale have got a fourth goal to equalise.
To equalise?
Yeah, they were losing against Swindon at home. Sorry. Looks like a dive, apparently.
Oh, brilliant.
Who's the suspected penalty for? Southampton or Spurs?
for Southampton.
If it's for Southampton, it's going in, and if Ward-Prowse has taken that. But I've just said it is, so that's jinxed it, and it's not, so it's fine. Don't worry about it.
If you want Spurs to let you down, they usually do.
Yeah.
That's the trouble.
It's a dive, but the penalty is confirmed. See, it does beg the question: Are we gonna be here in a couple of hours' time talking about? Oh, there we go, 3-3. Well done, Spurs. Yeah. Absolutely Spursing it up.
Thank you, Spurs.
Well, what can I say? Are we going to see anyway? Back to Everton. Are we going to see Iwobi and McNeil sort of crossover? Oh, Leeds have got a fourth.
Oh, Jesus, what?
I'm just going to go walk the dog.
On Everton.
I'm just going to go walk the dog. I give up, guys. I mean, we kind of knew it was going to happen anyway because Wolves got a red card, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, what happened to the days of it's harder to play against 10 men? Even though it was nonsense, there seemed to be more defensive. I don't know. It's just.
I suppose they're chasing the game, weren't they, Wolves? And they got 10 men, so
yeah.
They probably left gaps.
It's teams like that we probably shouldn't have to worry about. It seems like we shouldn't have lost against. Like when they're chasing a game and they lose their heads enough to go down to 10 men, how do we get beat by teams like this?
But actually, I'm just looking at the table, and I thought Leeds, because Leeds are technically, as it stands, 14th, and we've dropped to 17th. And I was thinking, how have they got so high? They must be like 3 points off us, but they're only a point. They're only on 26.
That close, which has me more stressed about the fact it's going to go right down to that last game of the season, Bournemouth at home, and that knocks me sick.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't.
Because I'm not expecting anything major from us today. I'm really not. Obviously, on paper, statistically, all of it, Chelsea are a better team than us. They always have been. I remember the heartbreak of, was it 2009? Jan, you know these dates more than I do.
2 goals up and losing 3-4.
2-1.
Like,
2-1, yeah.
First game of the season as well, this season, it was that awful penalty that wasn't even really a penalty when half of us were in the concourse because we all thought it had gone to half time.
Ironically, it was Doucouré who made the challenge, and maybe he can redeem himself.
Yeah. I just don't want to see any sloppiness today. Like,
on the plus side, Spurs have had a few injuries, so it might mean that they're a bit of a weakened side when they come to Goodison in a few weeks.
Yeah. Ricky got injured, didn't he?
Ricky?
Again.
Yeah. You all call him Richie, I know. I call him Ricky. That's it. I don't call Mashiri either. It's Moshri as far as I'm concerned. If you want me to keep going over names I mispronounce.
So he won't be coming back to Goodison by the looks of it.
I think he did it on purpose. He didn't enjoy it earlier when we played at Spurs, did he? He got subbed off pretty early.
Well, I don't think anybody enjoyed that. No. We will shortly be joined by Domino Chris. I believe. But I believe he's been because of his location over the pond in the States, he's able to watch games that we are not allowed to watch. So he'll have some first-hand comments on how the FA seem to be finally orchestrating the anti-Everton campaign. But I'm quietly excited about today's game, to be honest.
I think it's a chance for them to prove themselves. Today is one of those days, isn't it? And as Everton fans, we love that. We love watching them prove themselves and having the opportunity to do so. So there is a sense of some sort of excitement in the air, but I have no optimism. None.
Well, I mean, there's still the faint chance that Spurs could get a very late goal. Very, very late. Very, very, very late. I mean, I wouldn't rule them out. But I think Wolves Leeds is a lost cause. Yeah. Hi, Stu.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks for that, Stu.
And yeah, I mean, they've played 10 minutes of added time at the Molineux. So, I mean,
Why?
I wouldn't. I have no idea. Oh, red card for Wolves again. Eugene, thank you. Our correspondent at the Molineux, Eugene.
It's like Brentford last season all over again.
Oh dear. So we are joined in the wings by Chris, who will give us a wet rave when he's ready to come in. Fingers crossed.
We're gonna substitute, I think.
Yeah, I'm not going to do a Sean Dyche and leave it till the very last minute.
I'm gonna regrettably go to watch the match with one of my course mates who's a Chelsea fan.
Just because he doesn't rub it in. If we win, you rub it in for the rest of us. Like, I want Pure like running around the room, top off, swinging it when we score a goal.
He's been on the channel. I think he did a preview with us last year for the Chelsea game, and he's been at Goodison. He was supporting us when we played Brighton. We were sat with him in the home end, but we lost 4-1, didn't we? So he's not much luck on that part. So hopefully more luck today. But yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, a point for Southampton isn't the end of the world. It is full time. It is 3-3.
Wow. Yeah, I wish I got that on my goals giveaway.
Right. But as always, it's lovely. Thank you for joining us, David.
Of course. Hope to be on again soon.
Yes.
Enjoy
the game.
Yeah. I'll speak to you later.
See you later.
Bye, babe.
And we are now joined by the one, the only, real,
the man, the myth, the legend,
Domino Chris. Hello.
Because you never know when a fake Domino Chris will pop up, and when that does happen, you will know who the authentic one is. Plain and simple. Listen, I've got to say this because, yes, I wanted a couple of results to go the other way as well. But listen, for everyone who's panicking out there or getting extremely sad over these results, 2 wins on the bounce puts the bottom team up to 12th or 13th. So the team we want to win today might not even be the team we want to win next week, but especially in 3-4 weeks' time. And what I mean by that is, yes, let Everton ruin your day. Don't let these other results ruin everything, because you just never know what the table is going to look like in a few weeks, especially when all the bottom teams are playing each other. So I'm not really arsed by what happened today. You knew Leeds were going to get at least 1 or 2 in the next month or so, because there's still Premier League sides. There's no side that's going to be dead bottom for the rest of the season. There's going to be a lot of trading of points. If we don't score a goal, none of it matters. And that's just kind of how I'm viewing it today.
It's realistic, but I still think it's optimistic, to say that everything's in our hands. But yeah, it's a very good point. You are already well respected, talking more sense than certainly me. But yeah, I do think that it would have been nice to have that bonus, because it sort of counters the fear that Chelsea can turn it on at any time. But as we've seen this season, they haven't necessarily done that. They really brought quite a lot of the firepower and threat to Wolves, was it, a few weeks ago, but just couldn't manage to get anything from the game.
Yeah, and I mean, we even saw that when they played at home to Southampton as well. I mean, Southampton kind of nick a 1-goal win out of that, and Chelsea still had a few chances, especially Raheem Sterling. But it's like they can be beat. And that's that I don't really bring much traction into, well, they've come in on decent form. And the only reason is we just saw a certain team win 7-0 and then lose 1-0 to Bournemouth the next week. You never know what you're going to get from week to week to week. And yes, I wish Chelsea were still only winning 2 out of 15, but that's just not the case right now. So we have to go in there with some fight. We have to go in there with some firepower. I see we've made no changes. I don't know what to expect. I'm hoping it's not a repeat of the last few ways, but where we kept the same squad and went in, with the exception of Forrest, and didn't exactly turn up. But I'm trying to stay optimistic. It can be difficult sometimes.
I think the pros of going in with an unchanged squad is that this version of this 11, obviously they gel, of course they do. They all know each other. They've known each other for years. But they are now learning how to play as this 11 in Sean Dyche's style, and that's what we need going forward. They need to know the game plan. They need to not be thrown out new ideas every week like they were seemingly under Lampard and stuff like that. And if they can keep going consistently with a very similar idea, same individuals, they're going to start learning how to effectively put through this game plan. I think we will see us on a more defensive level today before we go on an all-out attack, but I have no issues with that, really. And I think with Chelsea coming back off the bounce of a fair few wins now, they're going to be a bit more confident, especially after winning in Europe as well. They will feel a bit more excited about their own prospects. But I watched the Leicester highlights before, did my revision before I come on, and it wasn't really anything to do with Chelsea's complete out-and-out brilliance. They are a decent side. They've got decent players, but most of it was defensive errors and goalkeeping errors from Leicester that allowed Chelsea to get 3 goals. And I have every confidence in our goalkeeper that he wouldn't make those same mistakes as well. So,
they've slipped into 11th.
Oh.
Extra motivation, maybe. Who knows?
But to be fair, although it's been a week since they last played, they have had a few fixtures recently. They played Borussia Dortmund and German. I didn't see much of that game apart from reading about it, and it seemed like it was quite a high intensity game.
Yeah, they should be pretty tired because this squad doesn't look all that much different to the ones that started those games either.
No, and it's they went into that game with something to prove. I was telling my mates over there, because I was in England when that happened, that they go 1-0 down to Germany. I said that's a pretty good result for Chelsea given their recent form and how they basically just haven't looked up for it. They only give up 1 goal in Germany, and then they come back to Stamford Bridge and they take that one. And I think they went into that one trying to make a statement. Not necessarily. I don't know if the statement was, "Hey, we're back," or just, "Hey, we're not dead." But regardless of whatever it was, they've done that, and the Prem form has been up for it as well as of recent. So, like I said, I hate that we're. Oh, go ahead, Amy.
Do you think they've got a point to prove against us, or do you think they will go into it a bit more relaxed because it's just little old bottom of the league?
I think they've got a point to prove against us as well. They're not going to make a top 4 push, but you look right now, the 6th place squad is on 42 points. Chelsea still are at 37. They're gonna make a serious push for a top 6 finish. And if we're really being honest, top 4 is not out of the question either, only because we've seen Spurs do Spurs things. We've seen Newcastle drop a lot of points. It is one of the more weird Prem seasons I've seen in recent memory. And it's almost like no team is out of it, like I said, especially because some of these teams will continue to play each other. It's one of those where you're not out of it until the numbers really do say you're out of it. And so I hate the timing of it. I wish we were still catching a quote unquote bad Chelsea, but I really do think they're going to come in here and try to make a statement today.
Oh, well, I think Amy disagrees with you. No,
she is very angry with what I had to say there.
I can't believe it. No, as always, the man speaks sense. Yeah. It would have been nice, but then sometimes I think as Evertonians, what we tend to do is focus on the opposition. Certainly I do, knowing that we've been not a team that challenges and brings a lot for the last couple of years. We've been on the decline for quite a long time. And it used to be the case of we'd bring anyone on and you'd think we can get points anywhere. It's just we didn't have the consistency. We always struggled with maybe fitness or injury or having... we'd just Everton it up. We'd go on a fantastic run. I'm going back 5-10 years.
Sure.
Where, we'd push for Champions League, UEFA. We'd consistently be in the top half of the table, but we just wouldn't have that kind of caliber to have the strength in depth. When we had a few players sidelined. But now I'm guilty of turning to look at the opposition to see how's their run been, what's their form, can we nick something? And it's frustrating to have to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to always focus on Everton, but in my mind, that's being realistic.
No, sure. And again, I'm guilty of it as well. I could sit here and preach about not score watching and this and that, and usually I make it about 7 minutes before I, put on something else here on the other screen. But it's a natural inclination to want to do that, and I'm no different. I'm trying to, especially on match days, right? You get it in your head that, hey, we're coming for it today. You see the lineup come out and you say, oh man, well, that worked last week. I'll say this: last away performance was fine. Forest opened up a little bit. We got 2 goals in the first half. Could have been a third. Last week was the same team, same performance. We had 2. We had 1 chalked off. Could have had 3 or 4. I know we can't put 2 halves together, seemingly, but what we can do is seemingly put together a first half. So that's what I expect to see today. I expect to see some fight. I expect to see some pace. If we don't come out in the first half, we're obviously in a lot of trouble, and that's not any sort of rocket science. It's just facts and figures. We have to come out and score a goal in the first half. I'm terrified to see what happens if we concede first. If we do that, I could see it being 4-0, 5-0. before we can even blink. We've seen that movie before, not only against Arsenal, but we've seen it multiple times at Stamford Bridge in the last few seasons. So that's, I guess, the ultimate fear. So the first half is going to tell a lot of stories, and I'm hoping we come out firing, and I think we can do it.
Do you think that there's hope to see James Garner today?
Yes, a little bit of hope. If he doesn't want to bring him on simply because we have another, international break coming up, I can see that. I wonder if it's going to be one of those, not to be too Debbie Downer here, but I wonder if it's going to be one of those, just like Arsenal a few weeks ago, whether, 3-0, 4-0 down, you start making kind of ridiculous subs, for lack of a better word, especially with the likes of what we saw with Holgate a few weeks ago that just, to me, made no sense whatsoever other than to just give him minutes. Do you get Garner back? Do you kind of just transition him back in a situation where he can be sort of comfortable? Not sure. I don't want to go down this road because I already know how the comments will go, but the DCL prediction was true. I didn't expect to see him on the bench today. Save him for after the break, bring him on against Spurs. I have no problem with that. Now, if we don't see him against Spurs, we'll obviously have another conversation, which I know Ryan is just very much looking forward to.
I was waiting for you to bring that up because no, but you are quite right. I understand where you're coming from. The media orchestrate these things to create stories where is he fit? Is he fit? Is he coming back? I'm sure that the moment he's fit, the moment he's back, the moment he's in full training and his name's definitely going to be down on the team sheet, it will be big news. But as it is, they're making out this story that it's dead in the water. Right. I think how often do you need to cover that the guy's got an injury? And he's not even on the subs bench, then you're going to see him on the subs bench before you see him start, unless it's going to take the break for the international break. Maybe it might be that we'll see him after the international break and they just want to give him a long rest.
It sounds sensible, doesn't it? But like you said, when you have certain organizations that want to grasp at straws and try to get ratings and hits on their YouTube page, then you're going to sort of bring those nonsensical stories up. No, we're fine. Our stories make sense. You heard it here first. But I think we all know who I'm talking about. The bench is interesting. Like not many changes. What I'm scared about is if we don't see James Garner, who are we actually going to see? Because
Davies.
I knew the answer to the question. I meant who do I actually fancy seeing who might make a difference on the pitch? And listen, if today can be Tom Davis's moment, hey, I think we're all here for it. We're kind of hoping and waiting to see that. But we haven't seen Sims in a few weeks. Mope's got a few minutes, but obviously doesn't get anyone too excited. But it's one of those where I wonder what there's a few scenarios I'm curious about. 1-0 on 75 minutes, right? What happens then? Do we go for the draw or do we actually bring someone to try to chase it? 1-0 down on 75 minutes. Are we going to try and run a 4-4-2 with two strikers up top? Or are we going to bring Gray off, bring Mope on, whatever the case? It's a lot of interesting things that could happen because listen, like Chelsea are on decent form, but they're not setting the world on fire by any means. They're not blowing teams out 5-0 or anything like that. So it's not like they still aren't there for the taking in terms of lack of goal scoring. And more so than that, I know they had a comeback, I believe it was against Leicester last week, where Leicester scored first. Let's score first and see how they respond to this. See how they respond at home, because it's been a while since we've done that against. Go ahead.
No. So 75 minutes. Do we see Ellis Sims come on and offer a fresh pair of legs and have that extra juice in the tank to jump a little bit higher, to knock the balls on? I noticed how you didn't see what do we do 1-0 up 75 minutes.
Well, that would be an interesting or very interesting scenario. But at that point, I mean, my hope, I'm assuming it would be the same as we saw, last week, a couple weeks ago, where we bring an extra defender on, whether it's Michaelenko or whatever. But you got to remember, our 75 minutes subs are Sean Dyche's 88th minute subs. And so we'll see what happens at that point. Listen, if that is a scenario and we do somehow find a lead late, please find a way to make a sub, because if I have to deal with that again and watching just everybody just dragging on the pitch and just giving up chance after chance, I might actually tear the other two hairs that I have up here out of my head, or maybe just start going this way.
It is so frustrating when you see that and they start to capitulate and the legs get tired. And it's, as you say, it's not only the missing opportunities to consolidate by getting a second goal, but as you said, it was 75, 80 minutes in and Gray's playing the ball into the corner. It's like, well, no, that's the last few minutes. Yeah, you want to see you. Well, I mean, I don't like that anyway. I just think if you don't want to see it in the opposition, you shouldn't see it in yourselves. And but then again, I do understand you have to have that game management that can make you do on footballing things.
Well,
but
there's just a certain time, like you said, there's a certain time, certain place for it. If you feel that the game is dictating that, fine. But the way Forest were opening up and we were getting chances, to me, that just, if you catch them on the break, come on, like, what are you doing? Put the game to bed. But hindsight's 2020. Obviously, we don't give up the late goal, then none of it matters. But whatever.
The subs aside, sorry, Mr. Blue Skies just said Dyche has a good record at Stamford Bridge for other teams. Burnley, noticeably, he's managed. Could we see Sean Dyche masterclass tonight? Do you think it's some of the failings of Chelsea? I don't want to talk about the fact that Graham Potter's not necessarily a world-class manager, because I think he just hasn't got the proven pedigree and the track record yet. He may well do. But do you think that some of Chelsea's decline is due to his style of tactics?
I'm trying not to buy too much into that. And the reason is because when you have a basic, not a complete new squad, but with the amount of signings that they've made, and this has been beat to death, but it just has to be said, it takes a while to actually mold those players and gel them into a team. It's just the reality of the situation, no matter how cliche it is. And Graham Potter's no different. I think he will be a good coach. I think he is a good manager right now, even though I want to take a second to talk about Brighton as well, because all Brighton do is get rid of their manager and continue to sell players and somehow become a better football club. Like, it's almost like if they just completely liquidated the club, they would just win the FA Cup. But aside from that, what Potter's done so far, obviously not his best, but it's just one of those where it takes time. It's a very instant gratification league now. Oftentimes you'll see managers get sacked after a couple of months of bad form. I mean, look no further than Thomas Tuchel. Which was still, to me, an inexplicable sacking. But whatever the case, it was almost like I expected Potter to be sacked after that poor run of form. But just from, if you're watching it sort of from a neutral standpoint, I'm kind of glad they didn't and gave him a chance to actually build something, because I really do think he has the talent, in terms of he just has to get all the players on board and everybody just kind of has to buy in.
Yeah, but that's what it takes. It takes a buying in, and it's something that I thought for a while is that would he struggle at Chelsea because of the reputation that and the expectations that players place on them. It's almost like a conceited. Well, you go to Chelsea, you become the big I am.
Right.
Yeah. So to go there to a manager that's not that's not Mourinho, that's not Ancelotti, that's not Manchester, that doesn't have that necessary kudos. Do you think that for a time they might be sort of looking at him going, well, who is this guy?
Yeah, I really do wonder if it was a lack of respect. I wonder if it was one where, well, let's say this. If we do wonder if it was one of those where, hey, you have to prove it to me, earn my respect, I'll give you mine. Let's just say that, even though I don't know if that was the case. What has he done to really do that? Do you think he's done things behind the scenes? Do you think it's what he's been saying to the press? Do you think it is, some sort of tactical change? I wonder what has changed in the last month, 5-6 weeks, in terms of, to see them. Chelsea have had a lot of injuries. I almost feel like because of those, Chelsea have kind of banded together with the players that have stepped up in this next man up mentality, that it's almost like I think that has made the team a little bit stronger because they've shown that they'll fight for one another no matter who goes down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that goes a long way. I mean, you kind of, as a team, think back to my playing days, which were 2 more years ago than I'd like to admit. But I mean, as the season goes on, you do grow closer as a team. You fight that extra yard, you fight for the shirt, you fight whatever you want to say. Go on.
Do you think that that's what we're starting to see in Everton, the team that we've got?
100%.
Yeah, the lack of consistency. When you talked about before coming in and all these new players, I mean, something seems to have happened at Forest, although they're on the decline. But if something isn't gelling, because I think we've had new players brought in by new managers in different trenches. You've had managers show sort of different selection favourites, and you've seen a lack of consistency in Everton and maybe too much chopping and changing, which has affected people's sense of job security. It maybe is the best way to phrase it. So do you think that now Dyche is sort of steadying that ship and being more consistent with that?
I think to an extent, yes. And I'll say that from a player perspective, you can see the fight. You can see how they're growing as a club together. You can see how they want to fight for each other, et cetera, et cetera. Now, from a consistency in terms of lineup basis, I chalk that up to sticking with the hot hand. And what I mean by that is we've had 2 good performances now on the bounce. We can't really say that for a long time. But the lineup that he's put out against Forest was the same one that he put out against Brentford, same one he's put out today. Exactly, to a T. Now, you can look at Forest as a 2-2 draw if you like. I saw a lot of fight in that game. I saw a lot of great attack in that game. And I saw the same against Brentford, even though the score sheet only said 1-0. It could have been 3-4, whatever the case. I think he put that lineup today because they've actually performed well. Now, again, look at that what you like. That's the way I see it, because if you're, if you have the hot hand, you don't want to mess with the chemistry, the lineups and all that. But again, the players can only last so long. That this lineup without an injury is going to go 80 minutes today, probably more, because he's been more keen to make subs at home, as silly as that sounds, than he has away. So I'm a little bit worried about the players. Just now, having said that, international break coming up. These are professional footballers. Give it all, and then we'll figure it out in a couple of weeks. But still, you worry about that sort of thing.
So maybe 10 minutes to kick off. Anthony said he'd be happy with a point. Would you be happy with a point? Yeah.
I mean, I really want to stand up here and be the rah-rah guy and say, hey, 4-0 Everton and 9-0, whatever the case, or even an honest 1-0 or 2-1, whatever the case. I'd be more than happy with a point. If we came out of Stamford Bridge, especially with the results today with a 1-1 draw, as an Evertonian, where we are right now, I'd say you have to be happy with that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna stick my neck on the line and say I'm gonna say 2-1 Everton.
And the scores are?
I want to say Gray, but I just don't think he will, unless he makes a yard of space and curls it into the top right-hand corner, and I'll just be absolutely ecstatic.
Right.
But I want to see Onana score a goal, so I'm going to go.
You beat me to it.
Yeah.
Onana and who else? You nailed this a couple of weeks ago.
It's either going to be McNeil or Iwobi. So I'm going to go Onana and a winger.
All right. Fair enough. Onana and a winger. Shirts now available at followeverton.com. No, not yet. I'm going 1-0, and I'll give the goal to Onana just because I know how much it would, as much as Ryan would celebrate, it would still kind of eat him up a little bit inside. That Onana's on the score sheet. So no, I'll stick with that. I said it earlier this week. I'm not sure if that's even what I'm thinking today, but we've got it locked down. I would not have a wager on it. We would never condone that here. But hey, if we find a way to win 1-0, I can promise I think we'll all be drinking all day.
Is this Prince Rupert Everton fresh from the American office?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, David would take a point. Kevin is, for some reason, happy with my 2-1. I couldn't possibly know why. Richo thinks 1-0 great. Chris says, if Chelsea are playing well, he'll take a point. If they play poor, well, I'd take a point either way, really.
Yeah.
And Mr. Blue Skies is going a boring Sean Dyche masterclass. The Tarkovsky header from a corner.
I would love so much of that. I would love so much of that.
And Ian has gone all out. £3 on Keane to score anytime, any result.
I had a mate that would bet he would take, what was this, maybe 2020 or 2021, I can't remember the year, but whatever it was, he would bet 2 goals for Keane, and he would bet it every game because the return was so good. And so every time Keno would score, he would, we'd start getting the text, oh, here we go. And it never happened. And so I haven't heard a Keno scoring wager in quite a while. So hey, good luck to you, my friend. I hope you hit it.
Yeah. We will, when we start to possibly get more, Chris here has joined. We do have some applicants here. We've just had a bit of a disjointed. We haven't had everyone's feedback on things, and some people are sending videos in. But we knew of Chris, we knew of Amy. We are looking to expand coverage of multiple things, cover more things, but that could be done at a later time. With about 7 minutes to go to kick off. Leave it there, hopefully. Leave up Kevin, hopefully agreeing with me. I'm going to put my neck out on the line and say 2-1 to Everton.
Very good.
Because I hate you, Jeff. I'm joking.
The truth
No.
shall set you free.
No.
Just kidding, Jeff.
Right. With that, thank you very, very much, Chris. I'll leave you to watch and hopefully celebrate.
I'll be live tweeting the whole match during the game. If you want to follow me on Twitter, there at Real Domino Chris. Please join in, make it a fun time, and let's try and get the first goal because I really think that's the whole. I think the match will be decided by the first goal, no matter who gets it. In my opinion.
Yeah. But thank you for joining us. Check him out at Real Domino Chris. And will you be joining us for the post match?
If you'll have me, I'm always here. I can't tell you what kind of state I'll be in, but fingers crossed we're all in a happy. Well, yeah, be sober. Coffee. Well, who knows? We'll see how it's going. If we're up 4-0, I might be wasted. But
yeah, but don't be too wasted that you forget to call your mother tomorrow. Because everybody there who's not joining us later, just a reminder, it's Mother's Day in the UK tomorrow.
That's right, and of course, like here in America, we always celebrate UK Mother's Day. So
yeah.
But no, call your mom. She loves you.
Yes.
She's the only reason you're here. Well, almost the only reason. You get it. Look it up.
All right. Yeah. All right. Yes. Type into Google. No, I'll leave that there. As always, up the fucking Toffees.
Up the Toffees. Come on, boys.